What is a professional way to say, I have diarrhea? Apologies, I won't be at work today because I've run out of trousers. I have a bad case of diarrhea. https://youtube.be/ckjfg4en6g t = 40. I'm ill. I have a stomach bug. Or if you want to be fancy, I'm currently have acute gastroenteritis. I had a shop manager tell me he was brewing up a pot of butt coffee once. So that's pretty professional. I'm having some stomach trouble today and will be unreachable. Asterisk asterisk, oh. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The loudest voice in the room is usually the dumbest. What an example of this you have seen. Ever been to a family dinner? Anyone who has ever worked retail or a customer-facing position will understand this. You as an employee have next to no power over anything apart from a bit of product knowledge to learning the basics of returns, exchanges. Any person who has worked in one of these positions can almost always count on at least once a week being faced with a colossal, screaming idiot who will fight tooth and nail over the most idiotic minutia when they are dead wrong. I don't know if it stems from a need to be correct, narcissism, or from just plain stupidity that they can never concede in a fight. But it is at least a weekly occurrence in retail. My most recent example was when my partner and I were in Muji, an Asian-themed home goods and clothing store. The ambience of these stores are super chill, with diffusers going, soft music, and so on. As we were coming in, a woman was losing her mind on the cashier because a pair of socks scanned up at, let's call it $10 when they should have been $8. Numbers are made up because this was a month or so ago. She is arguing impressively that these socks scanned up wrong and they should be free. The cashier has the what look on her face and is calmly explaining that no, she can get a refund for the difference. This lady was not having it, seemingly pulling what she believed was the ultimate trump card. She shouted, well, other stores have policies where they give you the wrong scanned item for free. Quote, the cashier again, without a breaking a sweat, said, well, that isn't our policy. I can either refund you the difference, refund you the whole thing, or you keep it as it is. This loop went on for much longer than it had to before the angry customer relented, visibly disturbed that this made-up policy did not exist at Muji. I will add that she was talking, yelling so that the entire store could hear. Of course, instead of calmly discussing the issue and taking the solution like a normal adult. I work loss prevention. I arrested a guy once who, when he was searched by police and had his meth taken, shouted, give me back my crystal meth, at the top of his lungs. So probably that. Or, along similar lines, he who laughs last laughs best, but he may get a reputation for being a little slow on the uptake. Finding out everyone on the internet is suddenly an expert in the operation, design, and recovery of deep submergence vehicles has certainly been an eye-opener. You know the weirdos that show up at town hall meetings? Those voices. Edit. Thank you for the love. Which event from history will always be funny? Ancient Korea had special recording officials, whose job was to record everything. They were considered separate from the government. So the emperor of the time wasn't allowed to give them orders or tell them not to record something. Of course, some emperors would try anyway. On one occasion, King Taejong, 15th century, fell off his horse while hunting. The recorder nearby wrote it down. The emperor insisted that it be removed from the record, and even tried to have the report destroyed. This led to some nonsense as the emperor kept destroying their work. But the recorders kept copying it and hiding it in increasingly obscure places. And of course, recorded the whole thing as it happened. A few hundred years later, And the only thing that emperor is famous for is trying to hide the fact he fell off his horse. Edit. Fixed some factual errors. The Spanish chicken farmer Juan Pujol Garcia tried to become a spy for the MI5. But they rejected him. He then applied to become a spy for the Nazi SS, who accepted him. The SS gave him the order to start a spy network in London. But instead he set up shop in Lisbon. There, he started feeding the Nazi commanders a bunch of horseshit intel, based on publicly available newspapers and magazines. They were believable enough for the Nazis to accept it as truth, even though they were completely made up. Every once in a while, he would be confronted about bad intel. He'd blame it on one of his fictional subordinates, and told his commanders he had rectified the problem. In one situation, he told the Nazis that his subordinate had fallen ill, and later died. A fake obituary was placed in the newspapers to back his story up. He even convinced the Nazis to pay a pension to the, again, fictional, agent's widow. The MI5 became aware of his existence after they saw the Kriegsmarine waste considerable effort in hunting down a non-existing convoy, based on Garcia's, again, fake, intel. They enrolled him into their ranks. And that's when his bullshittery started getting serious. He was given the nickname Garbo, in reference to the best actor in the world, Greta Garbo, because the Nazis believed he was one of theirs. They even sent him an enigma to encode the messages he was sending them. It was promptly turned over to the codebreakers at Bletchley Park. His most important work was on Operation Fortitude. He helped convince Nazi high command that the invasion of Normandy was a diversion. Officers believed a larger army was due to land in Calais. And X-200B. For his efforts, he was awarded the Iron Cross, authorized by Hitler himself. Understandably, the medal was awarded via radio. He was then also given an MBE medal by the British King, making him one of the few people who received medals from both sides. He faked his death and fled to Venezuela after the war, where he then ran a bookshop. His secret identity was undiscovered until a journalist got interested in the story and managed to track him down in 1984. He managed to finagle the real name from a former spy, and then found Garcia after literally calling every J. Garcia in the Barcelona phone book until he managed to get in contact with Garcia's nephew. And X-200B. The whole story. https en.wikipedia.org/Juan_Pujol_Garc%C3% Ada is just so incredibly goofy. It's a prime example of, wait, that worked? The con man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice and got away with it. During the Napoleonic Wars, a French ship sank off the coast of Hartlepool, England. The only survivor was the captain's pet monkey, which he always dressed in a French military uniform. The locals freaked out because the law was that any French military found on British soil must be executed as a spy. So they ordered the standard punishment spies, death by hanging. Except instead of dying, the monkey just kept climbing up the rope. Because it was a monkey. Hartlepool has since embraced their failure at executing a tiny primate for military espionage. Their local football team is nicknamed the Monkey Hangers. Andrew Jackson taught a parrot how to swear, and it had to be removed from his funeral because it upset the attendees. When Persian King Xerxes punished the sea for ruining his bridge, he tried to build a bridge across the Dardanelles to get to Greece faster, but storm destroyed the bridge. Greater than infuriated with the sea, Xerxes ordered his soldiers to punish it by whipping it with chains 300 times and poking it with red-hot irons. Handcuffs were also tossed into the water to symbolize the sea's submission to his authority. What is the worst possible way to propose? at someone else's wedding reception. Arrange a fancy date night with your girlfriend, including dinner at a posh restaurant. In the middle of the meal, fake a brain aneurysm, bite into a concealed blood pack, collapse and fall onto the floor. The whole bit. A doctor, or a nurse, planted at an adjacent table rolls you onto your back, checks you, and says that you're not breathing and you have no pulse. He or she rips open your shirt to apply a defibrillator, revealing, "Will you marry me?" written on your chest in red body paint. Pull out the ring, and say, "I can't live without you, baby." Chucking the ring at them and saying, "Here, wear this." My mom told me that my cousin's girlfriend got tired of waiting for him to propose. Apparently he said he would but hadn't gotten around to actually doing it. That she straight up bought a wedding dress and told him they were getting married. He said, "Okay, I believe they've been married for about 20 years now." I saw a video of a guy proposing to his girlfriend while she was driving once. That's pretty bad emo. Mine might be the worst. Was a broke 19-year-old. Thought that if I can't spend money on a good proposal, I'd go with the element of surprise. Wake her up at 3 a.m. and give a speech about how we were going to be together forever and propose. Her response: "Are you fucking kidding me? Married 14 years this October." Subscribe, my brothers.